3515 Linden Avenue. Until recently, the building did not look very impressive. However, its history is one of the richest in Long Beach. At one time, this building was a hub for the city's most effective philanthropy. But before we consider its current state, let's look back in time to the 1880s, when things were very different than today. The year was 1887. There were 38 stars on the United States flag, and the Navy had just leased Pearl Harbor for use as a naval base. In Denver, Colorado, a new type of fundraising program for nonprofits was taking off. It was called a Federated Giving Program. Merchants and small businesses donated to a central community organization that distributed the donations to deserving nonprofit organizations. This type of organization eventually came to be known as a community chest. Through these community chests, small nonprofit organizations were able to receive much more support than they could generate on their own. This idea of federated giving spread like wildfire throughout the United States. In 1922, the citizens of Long Beach created their own federated giving organization, and the Community Chest of Long Beach was born. In 1928, the Community Chest of Long Beach was renamed the Community Welfare Federation of Long Beach. This federation would continue to undertake federated giving to its community for more than 25 years. In the 1950s, a philanthropist by the name of Freeman Fairfield was doing good deeds around the country, most notably in his hometown of Meeker, Colorado. However, to give back to the city where he accumulated his wealth, Fairfield gifted a building to the Community Welfare Federation of Long Beach. The address of the building was 3515 Linden Avenue, and its sole purpose was to support the local nonprofit community. Around this time, an organization called the United Way had established itself across the country as the new face of federated giving. The Long Beach South Bay chapter of United Way became the master tenant of the Linden building. Although the Community Welfare Federation remained the owner and landlord of the building was referred to as the Freeman Fairfield United Way Long Beach South Bay Service Center. The United Way began subleasing some of the unused space in the building for smaller nonprofit organizations. Many of today's prominent nonprofit organizations in Long Beach boast humble beginnings at this venerable building on Linden Avenue. During the early 1960s, Daniel H. Ritter, publisher of the Long Beach Press-Telegram, was active in the community and served as president of the Community Welfare Federation. He eventually also became the president of the United Way Long Beach chapter. As the years passed, the Community Welfare Federation became more of a passive landlord. The great and prominent organization, which at one time had 24 board members, had dwindled down to just 5.
Well, the Community Welfare Federation told us in 2011 that they were planning to disband and asked us if we'd be interested in receiving their assets, because a nonprofit organization can't go out of business without giving all of their assets to another nonprofit. And we were delighted that they had chosen us.
So after more than 50 years of acting as the landlord to United Way, the Community Welfare Federation was faced with a major decision. Do we reinvent ourselves, or do we pass the task along to another organization? Tonight, we are pleased to say they decided to pass it along.
We're basically landlords. And from the time I got there until now, we've been trying to figure out what should be done with this, because our board was diminishing and the activity was not what it should have been. Therefore, we wanted to find a successor. And I was very pleased when I talked with Jean Bixby one day, and she indicated that she and Jim Mersham would have some interest in pursuing that with me. And our board decided, after what I think was a diligent inquiry, that the Long Beach Community Foundation would be the best place to put the Community Welfare Federation assets, which is why we decided to take that action.
While honored and appreciative of this magnanimous gift, the Long Beach Community Foundation was now faced with a pressing dilemma. Either find a source to fund the needed repairs and continue operating the building as it had been, or sell the building as is for very little and find some other use for the money.
So looking ahead, under the ownership of the Long Beach Community Foundation, the building will continue to be used as a multi-tenant office facility. It will continue to be rented exclusively to 501c3 nonprofit organizations at below market rents, and will provide amenities such as shared office resources and a conference room. And by the way, we have space available. We are pleased tonight to have with us the chairman of the Community Welfare Federation, Leo Vanderlands. And
Well, first, I think that was the original intention of the donor, Freeman Fairfield, and his foundation, that we use it for Long Beach nonprofits. So what we did is really carry out his wishes, and that's what I expect the Community Foundation to do.
Unfortunately, after many years of offering discounted rents, the Linden property was in need of significant repairs.
Well, the building was pretty run down, and we knew that it was run down when we accepted it. However, the Community Welfare Federation had made a decision that they didn't want to be the organization that went out and negotiated all the improvements and actually got the work done. And it was a bigger challenge than they really wanted to take on, and they thought we would be the logical recipient to go this next step, to actually take the building and make the improvements that were necessary.
Since its inception in 1996, the Long Beach Community Foundation has established many partnerships with other nonprofit organizations in Long Beach, including the ACE Academy. The ACE Academy at Jordan High School offers vocational training in architecture, construction, and engineering to help prepare Long Beach youth for meaningful employment. Mike Zeke brings decades of experience to the program.
I first met Jim when we were doing the Connected Corridor programs about 5 years ago, and we did actually concrete benches. I had my students building concrete benches. And also when Jim first was given the building, I guess he had consulted with an architect. And when I first came to Long Beach about 13 years ago, I was doing a house for somebody, and I didn't know anything about Long Beach, fell in love with Long Beach and stayed. And actually I got involved in moving a house from Orange Avenue to Lime Avenue for the Wilmore City Association. I think that's where I met the architect that recommended possibly talking to me about doing the project over Linden. So since Jim and I already knew each other from the Connected Corridor program, he said, let's give it a try. He approached me on it, and it was fantastic. For me, it's about getting kids involved, work-based learning, and actually applying what they learn in the classroom and getting hands-on field experience. Not only do you enhance their academics, but you also engage kids that don't care about the academics. There's a lot of guys that don't do well in the classroom, but you get them out on a job site, and they see what they can do. And they get it improves their self-esteem or self-confidence. And actually, I would love to see us tie it back into the academics, and I think we could really improve attendance and everything by letting the kids work on projects like this.
After a meeting with Mike Zeke, Jim Worsham was confident that a partnership with ACE Academy to refurbish the Linden property would prove fruitful for both parties.
So this is my office. It's a pretty great space during the day. In the summertime. In the wintertime, it gets a little challenging because, as you can see, my lights don't work. So sometimes they sputter and pop, sometimes they don't turn on, sometimes they turn on and make a really, really loud noise. So for the most part, I'm working kind of half in the dark in the wintertime. So over here is the kitchen. this stove. Believe it or not, it actually works pretty well, but it's old. I think it's original to the building.
I don't think it's ever been cleaned.
I'm actually pretty sure it's never been cleaned.
Storage box.
Yeah.
I'm not messing with that unless I have to.
It smokes pretty heavily when you turn the oven on.
The kitchen was old. It was old tile on it. We're putting granite in now as we speak. We're finishing up the last bit of the countertops. But the stove, we all laughed about that because when we started taking it out, it took 6 people to lift that thing. It was huge. And the lady in the background, the mail lady, she's a neat lady, but she gets stuck doing all the little things that have to be done. And I knew she didn't want to touch that stove. Okay, what you're going to do is you're just going to roll it like this, all right?
The Long Beach Community Foundation would get the building repaired at the lowest possible cost, and Mike's students would get on-the-job training on an actual job site. The collaboration proved to be no easy task. Mike and his crew worked on the weekends to accommodate the students' school schedules, which slowed down the process considerably. The nonprofit organizations that were already tenants endured slow construction and dealt with noise and dust. As in all construction, tension was high.
Okay. You're going to have to cut a piece of track 31 inches. Now when you cut this track,
it sounds like there's some really heavy construction going on, and honestly it's a bit annoying. There are kids in the other room that are tutoring, they're trying to work, I'm trying to work. It's been really noisy though.
okay, we're not going to be... It was really funny because they're putting a new door in the back. So so we had one of the, he's not a student anymore, he's graduated, but he went over and took out the old door. And he started working in about 15 minutes, and Colleen called me from Long Beach Community Foundation, and she said, somebody's complaining about the noise over there. He'd only been working for 5 minutes. They're right on the complaints now. And I said, well, we have to take that door out because the new door, people are coming in to put the new glass door in. But yeah, they weathered the storm real well for the first 6 months, and it was pretty iffy in the last, after 9 months. They were kind of fed up with it.
I didn't know what I was up for, honestly. I didn't know what I was going to do. I came here, I thought I was going to do just gardening. I ended up doing some gardening and some scraping and just a bit of everything. You know, it feels good to give back to the community and to to put it back in shape, make it look new, and to put smiles on people who work here faces is, you know, it's a good thing. It makes you feel good.
My name is Carolyn Bell. I'm the executive director of the Long Beach Bar Foundation, and we run the Short Stop Juvenile Crime Diversion Program. I can't be exact, but we've been here about 10 years or so. The building has needed some work for a very long time, both outside and inside. We all are nonprofit organizations within the building, and those that could get funding to do some repair work have done it, and those that couldn't have not. So a few years ago, we did receive some funding to do a little bit of work on the inside but of our offices. But the building itself still needed quite a bit of work, like the hallways and the tile and the ceiling tiles and things like that. So there was lots of room for work that needed to be done. We share the conference room. There's a large conference room and a small conference room and a kitchen area and a waiting area, and we all share that. I think the really good part about this building is the areas that have needed work, we have in different times come together and try to do little things to help beautify the building in ways that we could until a project like this came along. So we're really grateful for the opportunity to be here during this time and see the difference that, you know, it's going to take place. But from what I am told, it looks like we have some young volunteers from Jordan that are training to be, I don't know, to work in the field of construction. And they're doing the repairs, and it's looking really good so far.
That water the lawn in the front, so. Well, we know that one's broken. And then this grass right here, with the program that they have, which is lawn to garden, we're trying to qualify for that. We'll take out this, but rather than put gravel or something out here, I would like to do the interlocking block. So it'll be the path, you know, like a cobblestone or something on both sides. But this whole front's going to be a low maintenance desert landscape with you know, rocks and cactus and sand and whatever to make it look like a drought tolerant climate, which it is. And so on the inside, what we've done so far is the hardest part is working around all the different offices where the people are still working. So these offices are all occupied. So we're constantly moving furniture, switching people from one office to another, and then doing the work in them. And what we've done is we've cleared these 4 offices right here. Nobody's in them. We've stripped everything off the wall, patched all the holes in the walls, taken the ceilings and replastered the ceilings and pulled all the lights off. All the old lights are the old-fashioned high energy use fluorescents. We're going to the T8s and T5s, which are the going to be it's going to cut their bill in half as far as lighting cost. The biggest obstacle was juggling times. I mean, it wasn't like you have an employee that you can say, okay, you're going to be there 7 o'clock in the morning and you're going to work 40 hours for the week. Students did it on a volunteer basis. So they came at different times. Some people had other, you know, holidays to go on and different things. So, but the biggest obstacle, we had to progress with the job, and so I had to. So at maybe one day I had 2 students that did it and they mastered it, and the next day they were gone because they were doing something else somewhere else, and now I had to train 2 more to do the job that somebody else had already knew how to do. So that was a problem.
Pretty cool that everybody's working together in different programs. You know, you get to meet new people, you know, you get to do a whole bunch of stuff, you know. It's cool. I just hope to get just the learning experience, skills, all that. That's all I'm really trying to get out of this. Really, I don't really see myself doing stuff like this, but I mean, it's good to know stuff like this too, at the same time. And
then, what are your thoughts on Zeke?
Oh, he's cool. He's really cool.
Yeah, tell me about him.
Man, he's a hands-on person. He'll teach you, he'll show you how to do stuff. You know, if you don't get it, you ask him questions, he'll be like, he'll really get into it and show you how to do it. He's a pretty good guy, pretty good.
Don't carry it like that, carry it like this. No, your right hand where you was, right hand on the bottom, don't put it on your shoulder like that. The reason you don't put it on your shoulder like that, when we're walking, and I hit this, I hit this, don't dislocate your shoulder. Okay? You don't want your shoulder there. And see, this way what happens, for instance, when we have to turn it over, you follow me, you do exactly what I do. Okay. So we can go over our heads or whatever. Let me get in here first. All right. Okay. Now give it to him. You should not lift it up until you get the hold of it. If one side lifts up more than the other side, it's the problem you're having. If you all do everything in unison, you'll be fine. Okay? You should not have a mark in the front there. That's going to be a problem. Okay. Now put the recess in. Recess. Tight. Recess in. Recess in. Push it up. Recess. There you go. Now push it forward. There you go. Now, Mark, hold it. You screw it. Put one up here for him first. The drywall went pretty good. It's a physical. It's physical, and the guys like to do physical stuff, you know. And so that's where I started in the trades as a drywaller, and so I'm comfortable doing it. But they did real well with the drywall. You know, we had to replace ceilings and put fire-rated drywall up there on the ceilings, and so which is heavier than what they're normally used to. In housing, you use half-inch, and here we had to use a fire-resistant 5/8 drywall. But they did real well. They learned, the nice thing about it, they learned to work together. That's the whole thing. They learned to work together. And I try to bring that into the classroom too. I mean, if we could, in the classroom, it's hard to get 4 students to work together. Usually what will happen, they'll let one student who's good at it do all the work and the other ones will sit around and do nothing. But then you get them in an environment like this, And nobody could sit around doing nothing because the other guy's carrying a lot of weight if somebody's not carrying his end of the sheet. So you really learn to work together. And that's why you bring it right back into the classroom. Work-based learning, I think, is wonderful. You know, what they also wanted to do was change out the doors and do some things that most people, including a friend of mine, who actually I asked to be the contractor on it, and he agreed, but I told him I wanted to bring some students down to work on it. And he was kind of hesitant. And then when I told him we were going to be hanging doors, he said, no, students, high school students with no experience cannot hang doors. Well, we hung 52 of them and they looked great.
You got to take down the doors. You got to put up spacers, make sure it's the right size. There from there, you put drywall in there, and then you put the taper thing so it could like blend in. Yeah.
I wasn't involved when you first brought it together, but that's, I think, was the intent of this, so that we give back to the not-for-profits in our own community.
So that's what it was all about,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Very pleased with the opportunity of seeing this building and walking around and seeing what's happening to it. I'm also very pleased with what the community is doing, and the Community Foundation in particular, to keep this building alive and keep what it has stood for over these years.
For those of us who've been in town a while, we've been through many different renditions of this building, and we are so proud of what's happened here. We'd like to acknowledge Mike Zeke, Ace Academy Mike. Mike, this would not have happened without Mike and the Ace Academy. You guys did an incredible job. They did the renovation on this building. So talk about a high school program that works. Look around you. This really works. So thank you so much. It was a great partnership and a lot of hard work went into this.
Even former Long Beach Congressman Dan Lundgren, the author of the original National Philanthropy Day legislation, joined in to celebrate the occasion.
It is really fun to be here because it is great to see what is going on. It's great to see a lot of friends here. It's great to see a lot of the community leaders. It's great to see that we have an infusion of young leaders, those who have been here for a short time and those who've been here for a long time. And I don't mean to just look at you over there, Mr. Commissioner. And it just seems to me a society is more vital when you have that wellspring of interest, activity, ingenuity, creativity that we allow or that we preserve in this country because of that notion that people can join together in free associations. Long Beach is a good and great place. I was privileged, along with my 6 siblings, to be raised here. I take it with me wherever I go, and I often am proud to be able to point to Long Beach as an example of a community that can go through difficult times, but can always look forward, and always, I think, has a major element in this society which reaches back to give a hand to those who would otherwise be left behind. So God bless you. Thank you for allowing me to be here, and what a great time for us to celebrate National Philanthropy Day as we look at this magnificent structure here that is really an aid to work done by so many nonprofits. Thank you very much.
Countless hours put in by caring volunteers and our board members will allow the Long Beach Community Foundation to support the outstanding work being done by these nonprofits for many years to come. So know when you invest in the Long Beach Community Foundation, not only does your fund support the philanthropic work we do, but will allow these businesses to perpetuate their goodwill throughout our great city.
Who knows what the future holds for the Long Beach community? Only time will tell. But what is certain is that with hard work and the will to make a difference, the Long Beach community will continue to benefit from the philanthropy of its citizens.